So, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for your presence. And we are continuing today with our series of lectures about the GOPI GITA, the song of the Gopis. Chapter 31, 10th canto of the Bhagavad. And today we are in our 17th meeting, discussing, we will be discussing verse number 15 of the GOPI GITA. So let's first of all, as usual, make a brief summary of yesterday's meeting where we were studying verse number 14. And also let's connect this verse 14 with the previous one, verse 13 and 14, which are two verses that according to our acharyas, some of them at least, the gopis are requesting Krishna certain things that they already requested before, but now with much more emotional intensity. In verse 7 and verse 8, they presented certain requests, and now in this verse, in these two verses, they are representing that and also trying to pacify Krishna according to the possible situation. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that he may have been annoyed by the other three previous verses, 10, 11, and 12, where the gopis were kind of accusing him lovingly for throwing these flower arrows to them, so they were not fully satiated with surviving by Harikatha. So if Krishna will be annoyed, say, I'm leaving here right now, I'm not happy with your words, accusation. So now verse 13 and this verse 14, gopis are trying to praise and pacify him. So verse 14, gopis are saying, basically, O hero among men, give us the nectar of your lips, which are passionately kissed by your melodious flute, and those lips increase the pleasure of amorous meeting and destroy all sorrow, causing whoever drinks that nectar, even once, to forget their attachments. Suratavardanam sokanasanam saritavenunam sustuchumbitam itararaga vishmaranam nrinam vitaravirana ste dharambritam. Adarambritam. So the main topic here, the main focus is in the adarambritam, or in the nectar of Krishna's lips, mainly connected with the idea also of the sound of the flute. So we quoted some words about this, what Mahaprabhu said himself in Puri about the nectar of Krishna's lips and the sound of the flute of Krishna, speaking the different verses from the mood of the gopi, from the mood of Radha, about how this Venu, which is a hollow bamboo dry stick, is drinking all the nectar of Krishna's flute, lips, by theft, by thievery, being a male even, and the gopis hearing all the cries of pleasure of the flute, and gopis inquiring, what should we do, what austerities can we do, should perform to be born as a flute and receive that fortune of drinking the nectar lips of Krishna. So basically this verse again is revolving around Adarambritam, and three attributes were mentioned in that connection: Suratavardhanam, Sokanashanam, Itararaga Vishmaranam. Suratavardhanam is the nectar of Krishna's lips, increases, nourishes conjugal bliss, the joy of happily mixing together between Krishna and the gopis. Shokanasanam had to do with vanquishing all distress, and Itara Raga Vishmaranam makes one, that sound, that nectar makes one forget all other ragas, which could be all other ragas in the sense of melody. If you are a good musician and you know many ragas, you will forget them all by hearing flute and the particular ragas that will come through the flute. All raga means, the overt meaning is attachment. So all attachments, you don't need to wait for becoming free of all attachment in order to drink that medicine, if you will, that other amrita. Actually, by drinking that, all attachment will be forgotten immediately. So the gopis, when they speak adaramrita, they have their own idea of which level, of which type of adaramrita they need in order to survive. But we spoke about different layers of conception of this idea of adaramrita. We have the original one, which is the one coming directly from Krishna's lips without any intermediary, any agency, any filter, not even the flute. So that's what the gopis wants actually. But we have after that the flute, the nectar of Krishna's lip passing through the flute and reaching the gopis and Brajavasis, everyone hearts, ears and hearts. We also mentioned how the Klim Bija mantra is non-different from this sound of the flute as well. We also mentioned how Harikatha is considered Adaramrita, part of what's coming from Krishna's lips, the nectar of his lips. Also, we spoke about Mahaprasad, and how this Mahaprasad has to do also with Adaramritam, which is something that entering in touch with Krishna's lips. Mahaprabhu in Puri had this subjective, extraordinary, super subjective experience by tasting, honoring Jagannath's Mahaprasad and getting in contact with Jagannath's saliva directly in the mood, of course, of the gopis. So again, the gopis are hankering, praying, crying, living only for the first one, the original one, because they know that will be, through that they will be able to fully fulfill Krishna's desires. Again, it's never a consideration that ultimately converges in their own agenda. They have no agenda of their own. So in this way, they're asking Krishna by the word, addressing Vira again, over and over again. This word will be here in the Gopi Gita. Oh, hero, different type of heroism they are invoking. May you be a Dana Vira, a hero in giving charity. May you be a Daya Vira, a hero in showing mercy. Even you can be a Yuddha Vira, as Kanuram was asking yesterday, a hero in battle. But of course, the gopis are understanding battle as another battle, entering into the arena of Cupid and become a hero in the battle of love. When they say Dana Vira, Daya Vira, they are not thinking about the general idea of a Dana Vira and a Daya Vira, a warrior who is charitable in giving whatever, jewels and money, or shelter in the physical sense, mercy in the sense of forgiving whatever the enemy, not in that realm, but all of this applying to their particular perspective, of romantic perspective. So they are asking Krishna, please release that Adaramrita, release that medicine. We are dying. We need that rasayana. They speak in Ayurvedic terms, as we say. So distribute that freely to everyone. But of course, they also found themselves in that dilemma. By receiving the medicine to our sickness, the sickness will probably increase. By receiving the Adaramrita, the sickness of desire, the fire of desire will increase. So in this way, the gopis are glorifying, and we were trying also to follow in their footsteps, glorifying the Adaramrita somehow or other, even to the point of quoting Jiva Goswami, where he mentions we have the four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We have Krishna, Prem, Bhakti, the fifth Pancham Purushartha, and this Adaramrita represents Sad Purushartha, the sixth Purushartha, the sixth goal of life. Adaramrita. So again, by imploring Krishna to manifest his Adaramrita, by praising the nectar of his lips, and by asking him to manifest that somehow or other, they are asking to him, with him indirectly, if you will, but appear before us again. So some brief summary of yesterday's talk. So now we'll go to today's verse number 15. So I will share the shloka here in the chat section. There's a verse. So I will recite for the ones who will like to join as well. The verse is saying like this. Bhatati yad bhavana anikananam truti jugayate tvam pasyatam kutila kuntalam shrimukam chate jada udikshatam paksmakrit drisham. So the translation of this verse basically says like this. When you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its adornment of curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish creator. So this is quite well-known verse as well as the very expression at the end of the verse that the gopis present, which is also present in some other verses along the Bhagavad. The gopis having such a position that they are in a position to curse the creator, to insult him, Brahma, the architect of this human form, in such a way that they are not receiving any reaction for that. So what must be their position? That's what Brahma himself was asking when he went to Vrindavan. What's going on here? When Uddhava went to Vrindavan, he was again, this is something quite different altogether. Generally, in the scriptures we hear that Krishna is the supreme God, he should be praised, he should be glorified. We should speak Harikatha. But when these great personalities, great sages and Vedic seers go to Braj, they find they are insulting Krishna, some of them. They are criticizing him. They are calling him names. They are wrestling him to the ground. Radha is not allowing him to the kunja. No, just show that behind him with a stick. Nanda is saying he's a liar, he's a thief. The gopis will say he's a womanizer. So we find this type of Gramya Katha, village talk about Krishna on the whole Braj. So they are not treating him as usual. So this is quite astonishing. And in this way, in this case also, the gopis sometimes curse the creator. They have that particular mood of devotion. And Brahma himself will feel ashamed by hearing the words of such a personalities in this way. No? So this speaks about the status of Braja Bhakti, basically. They can do that, but that's being done as an outburst of their own outpouring of their extremely pure love. No? So it's not aparat, it's not criticism. We are not engaging in second now aparat, insulting the demigods or something like this. So this verse is here the gopis are saying atati yad bhavam anikananam. So atati yad bhavan, let's go to the word by word content of this shloka. Ani kananam. Ani means during the daytime. So we will go to the daytime for a minute, go back there. So atati yad. Yad means when, and atati means travel. So when you travel, when you go, basically. Kananam means forest. So when you go off to the forest during the day, we will go back to the Purvana Lila, if you will, the mid-morning pastimes where Krishna is living with his friends and cows to the forest. So atati yad bhavan kan ani kananam. They are setting the stage by locating us in a particular framework of time in the daily Braj dynamics. Purvana Lila. So atati yad bhavan ani kananam. Truti yugayate twam apashritam. So the gopis will present their plight of separation during that particular moment of the day, which is considerably long. And again, here we are in the Gopi Gita. Here, Rasa Lila is about to be fully celebrated for the first time in the Prakat Lila. We have to bear this in mind. And this is the first Rasa Lila in the Prakat, in the manifest pastime. It's not that they are having Rasa Lila every night and so on. That will happen after this one. After this one, we will see how the gopis and Krishna, they experience such joy that Rasa Lila will be celebrated every single night. And eventually, as we will see, that's for a future occasion of studies of other songs of the Gita, of the Bhagavatam, like the Jugal Gita and so on. But eventually, the gopis will desire to experience Rasa Lila during the day as well, in the midday. So that's where Krishna starts to disappear in the middays with his Priyanarma Sagas to meet Radha and Radha Kunda. But at this point, the point is Radha Kunda is not manifest yet. Remember, we're in the Prakat Lila. So there is an unfolding of the whole situation. So when Krishna kills Aristasur, so that will be some chapters after the whole Gopi Gita section, and before the Jugala Gita, Krishna killing Aristasur has to do with the manifestation of both Syamakunda and Radhakunda. So when that happens, when Radhakunda manifests, again, these midday meetings, this midday pastime starts to happen there at midday. So that's what's called Nitya Sthiti. Guru Maharaj sometimes says this: when you reach that point, Radhakunda is manifest, stop there. Stop there and do not continue with the movie, if you will. When Akrura comes and Krishna is taken to Mathura to kill Kamsa and so on. Reach just that point of unfolding of the Prakat Lila, and when you reach the manifestation of Radha Kund and Shyama Kund, connected to the killing of Aristasur, this is like chapter 34, if I'm not mistaken, you get Nitya Sthiti, which means the eternal situation. That's when Prakat Lila resembles the most to the Nitya Lila, the unfolding of every element of the Lila, the age of Krishna, the different pastimes, the acknowledging of his love with the gopis, the meeting of them in Rasa Lila, the celebration of successive Rasa Lilas at nights, the manifestation of Radhakunda, the meeting at midday at Radhakunda, daylight, Rasa Lilas. Stop there, and there you got the perfect unfolding of the whole Lila as it is expressing itself in the Nitya Lila. So that's called Nitya Sthiti. Sthiti means like situation. Nitya means like permanent or eternal. So going back here, we are here in chapter 31. So some few chapters before. So in the chronology of the unfolding of the Prakat Lila, the gopis didn't have yet any Rasa Lila, full Rasa Lilas. They just began the first version of it, and Krishna disappeared very quickly. So the point is that here they are expressing their full separation along the day. Here it's not meeting between in daytime yet, in midnight at Radhakunda, in midday, sorry, at Radhakunda, because there is no Radhakunda. They have not been night Rasa Lilas yet. So they experience a particular type of separation because already they are in Purvarag. They were in Purvarag, hearing Krishna's flute, seeing him, receiving his arrows. But Krishna's living every single day with the cows on the cow herd. That's already happening for quite a time. So during all this long day, in this verse, the gopis express here how they subjectively perceive the timing that they are separated from him during the day without being able yet to meet with him in the midday. Yeah. Some details, extra details. So, atati yad bhavam ani kananam. So to make we may become more aware of what's going on here. So during the day, when you go off to the forest during the day, Truti jugayate twam apashyatam. They will present their situation in twam apashyatam. Twam apashyatam, the country of pashyati. Pashyati means to see. Apashyata means for those who do not see. Who? Twam. Twam apashyatam. Twam means you. So for those who cannot see you during that period of the day, what's the subjective experience of that? Truti jugayate. Truti means 1/1000th of a second. If you divide 1 second in 1,000 parts, that's called truti. No? In Sanskrit, you have many types of measurements for time. So a truti, I mean, you can even think about that. If you try to divide 1 second in 1,000 parts. So that measurement of time becomes yugayate, an entire yuga. Mahaprabhu says something similar in the 7th verse of Sikshastika. Yugaditam nimishana. Nimishana is similar, like a moment, an instant becomes a millennium. So here the gopis are saying that more specifically, Truti, 1,700, sorry, more specifically, I say 1,000 only. It's 1,700th, as you say in English, 1,700th of a second. That is a subjective experience as a yuga. A yuga doesn't imply a particular number of time, quantity, but you imagine what's an eon, millennia. So that's what they're experiencing separation. We will now unfold it. So Truti Yugayate Twam Apashyatam, for those who cannot see you during all that period of the day that you are living, and he's not living from one Truti, from 1700th of a second, he's living for hours. So try to start to multiply that and see which is the number. How do they experience that? And they continue. That's not all. You may say, oh, that's already too much. They must be experiencing great grief in separation from Krishna. They say, Kutila Kuntalam Sri Mukam Chate. Kutila Kuntalam. Kuntalam refers to Krishna's locks of hair. And Kutila, we already spoke about the meaning of Kutila, Jatila, Abhimanyu. So Kutila means like this, no? Like crooked. but also in this case it's curling, no? Like curling locks of hair. Kutila kuntalam, Sri Mukam Chute. Sri means beautiful, Mukam means face, Cha an te your. So the point is, we cannot see you during all that time. We cannot even pronounce it, how the number that they subjectively experience in separation, how much time it is. But when we can finally look at you, the point is, when we can view your beautiful face, which is adorned by these curly locks of hair, and the last line just gives a checkmate, as they say in English. Jada udikshatam pakshmakrit drisham. Jada udikshatam pakshmakrit drisham. When we finally can see you, actually we cannot see you fully to our satisfaction. We cannot fully drink your beauty to counteract such a period of separation. Why? Jada udikshatam, because jada udikshatam pakshma krit drisham. Krit drisham, krit means the creator of drisham, of the eyes, which means the architect of this human form, Brahma, krit drisham. Jadha, he says, jada means foolish. The foolish creator of this, created udikshatam, means for those who are looking, for us, the Gopis say, for us who are eagerly looking, the pleasure of our sight becomes like interrupted, if you will, hindered by what? Pakshma. That's a word here, pakshma, which means eyelids. So the foolish creator, I don't know what he was thinking about at that precise moment when he decided, let's make the eyelids, but those eyelids are interrupting our sight. Again, they say it already. One truti, if you divide 1 second in 1700 times, that becomes a yuga. So when you are blinking, basically blinking takes even more than that. So how they subjectively experience that blinking, and with the contrast of having Krishna there, having Krishna's beautiful face there, but being constantly hindered by yugas and yugas of blinking, if you will. So we cannot fully grasp the real direct subjective experience of the gopis, but that's what the verse is trying to bestow to us, to convey us. What's their experience in separation, how eager they are of really having Krishna there, especially at this precise moment, dying of separation. So let's try to, well, this was the introduction and word by word meaning. Let's see how much this takes, but I'm sure you have some yugas of time in the form of truths at least. So let's unpack the meaning of the content of the verse. Srinath Pandit, one of the well-known commentators of the Bhagavad, to connect this verse with the previous ones, remember the two previous ones, gopis were trying to pacify Krishna, but at the same time, while pacifying him, they're presenting their requests, different requests, as you already know. Release the nectar of your lips, and appear, and we may be able to receive your lotus feet on our breasts. This would say verse 13, and so on. So if Krishna says, "Can I delay a little?" According to Srinath Pandit, he may say that to the gopis. Can I delay a little? So the gopis are here replying how they do perceive Krishna's delay. How do they perceive 1700ths of a second? So what to speak of further delay? He's already delaying, according to the gopis. So if Krishna will just suggest that, the gopis are replying in this verse. So let me share some words from Guru Maharaj from his aesthetic Vedanta, when he shares some very poetic and interesting conclusions about this verse, and how mainly the idea of the gopis cursing Brahma and the implications of that. So he says that here the gopis are cursing Brahma, the creator, and Guru Maharaj says he's not their God. What is his fault, Brahma's fault? Well, he says eyes are meant to see beautiful forms. That's the whole purpose of having eyes. What's the meaning of that? So the gopis think, this is the gopis psychology. Eyes are meant to see beautiful form. Krishna's form is the most beautiful. Eyes are only for that. Yet they think Brahma created eyes that blink. So we cannot take full advantage of supreme beauty. So Guru Maharaj comments to this, of course, as he usually does. It is not because we have eyes that we can see. Actually, our material eyes are getting in the way of our seeing, are obscuring our vision, because we are the seers, not the eyes in themselves, basically, he's saying. We are limited actually by our senses, by our mind. So we are unable actually to experience the limit of the truth. Guru Maharaj says that is beauty. Beauty is the ultimate limit of truth. And the gopis are experiencing that by seeing Krishna with the prema netra, the eye netra or prem of love. Premanjana chudita bhakti vilochanena. They have awakened this particular type of vision. So they are not satiated by entering in touch with supreme beauty and supreme love. Here we have this combination. Here Guru Maharaj is saying eyes are meant for contemplating beauty. Okay, so Krishna represents the ultimate beauty, the all attractive one, and the gopis represent the topmost seers, the topmost vision, the prema neta, the eye of love. So what happens if you combine these two? Supreme beauty, supreme loving vision, supreme eyes. So there will be no end to that if they get to see that. But the point is, whatever is coming in the way of that, you can imagine how they experience. How they experience. As I say many times, what must it mean to see Krishna? But what must it mean to stop seeing Krishna after seeing him with the eyes of love, with the full capacity of appreciating the topmost beauty? We sometimes think we are appreciating beauty with our mundane eyes, but actually, if we are seeing the beauty of this world, whatever beauty, with not loving eyes, exploitative eyes, we are not appreciating real beauty. We are trying to own beauty, to consume beauty, to exploit beauty. And at the very moment we have that desire, it's not beauty, and it becomes less and less beautiful. As we spoke the other day, beauty is not there to be exploited by us, but beauty is the exploiter. And we are to be exploited by beauty. To say that in poetic terms, Krishna is supreme beauty, and the gopis are here totally disposed to be exploited by him. Again, try to understand the point. They are surrendering as slaves, kinkaris. But of course, Krishna is reciprocating, and he loves to be a slave of his slaves. So in this way, here the gopis, Guru Maharaj finishes his commentary, are instructing us in this regard. How our senses and present senses and mind are limiting our experience of real truth, which is real beauty ultimately. Since gopis are instructing us here, and yet more, he says they're instructing us as to the extent of their own love, because he asks himself, he said, who when viewing an object of beauty notices the blinking of the eyes? Such is the beauty of Krishna, and such is the gopis' perception of that beauty. Do you follow? So the fact, generally, we are not, Guru Maharaj says that we are not aware of our blinking. That means generally two things. One, what we are looking at is not that beautiful, and the way we are looking at whatever is not that beautiful either. It's not that loving. So our blinking go unnoticed. Nothing great is happening. But when you are able to look at something really beautiful with really beautiful eyes, real loving vision, whatever comes in the way of that, even for 1700ths of a second, you will notice, and not only notice, the gopis here perceive that as a millennium. So that speaks somehow or other, tries to give us an idea. What's the degree of beauty and what's the degree of love? And as we say many times, the more beauty is in Krishna, the more love is in the gopis to serve that beauty. And as the more loving the gopis become, the highest the beauty of Krishna becomes. Krishna increases his beauty, and the gopis increase their service disposition. The serving disposition is increasing, Krishna's beauty is increasing, because one thing is in the service of the other. That's how each other are serving each. So there is a competition, and none of them are accepting basically defeat there. So that's how it describes something that goes, of course, beyond descriptions, but something has to be said. Ikshate na shabdat. You cannot say anything about that, but something has to be said. So somehow or other trying to make justice. So the Bhagavatam and there are many verses in scripture where the gopis express about this, how Krishna, the sight of Krishna represents the perfection of beauty. Famous verse in Gopi Gita, I think we quoted that the other day, Akshambantam palamidam naparam vidama sakyapa sudhanu vivesaya turbhayasya bhaktram sutayo bhaktram brayasasutayo navenu justam jairbani pitam manurakta katakshramoksham. So according to the Acharya Radha speaks this verse. She's speaking to her friends while having darshan of Krishna with Balaram. Krishna Balaram. This is how the ones in Madhurya will conceive and worship Krishna Balaram. Radha says, "Oh, friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaj Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths, and they are glancing very lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. For those who have eyes," Radha says, "we think there is no greater object of vision." So these are verses connected to this precise moment, the Purvana Lila, Krishna and Balaram and the friends entering the forest. And how Radha is appreciating that, and how her servants are entering into that mood by vicarious experience and trying to serve that. So she's saying here, that's the perfection of the eyes, to contemplate that. And we say that's the perfection of contemplation, to look at such a thing with that loving disposition. So again, the gopis here are experiencing the plight of not being able to join Krishna at that moment. Try to understand this. Krishna is living with the friends, joyfully dancing, singing, smiling with the cows, a whole celebration. But the gopis are not experiencing celebration there, no, because they cannot join the party, basically. No, the term ani in this verse is during the day. So every word here has a deep implication. So ani means during the day. So this implies the idea that the gopis are unable to go to the forest at that time, which is good part of the time again. As we say, Krishna is leaving at 8:20, approximately 9 in the morning, let's say, but he's returning at the end of the Madhyan Lila, almost at 4. So again, let's say it's like 7 hours, almost half of the day of the waking day. So again, the gopis are experiencing 1/1700th of a second as a yuga. What must it be, 7 hours or more? Especially when he's leaving. No, that's a tragic moment for them. They cannot do. They would like to jump from the moon towers where they are looking at Krishna and Balaram and the group, and they would like to jump and just be there, but they cannot because of the social dynamics of the lila, of the mood of parakia, whatever that implies. And of course, this is not only so for the gopis. No, the whole idea Tvama Pashyatam, which means for those who do not see you. Of course, gopis are not the only ones who are not joining Krishna into the forest. So with this, the gopis are implying at that moment, 9 in the morning approximately, they're taking the cows out to graze in the pasturing grounds. And at that time, we are not the only ones who feel separation from you. Of course, they will feel that in a particular way with a particular intensity, but actually everyone in Vrindavan who is not joining Krishna will suffer because they can no longer see Krishna. All the Brajavasis, especially in this case, apart from the gopis, Jashoda, Nanda, but even whatever, the calves, when the Krishna is going with the calves are not joining, are staying. So the calves cannot go with him at that moment. So whoever entity is not joining the forest at that moment is experiencing the tragedy of separation. That again, over and over again, be careful of not processing this as something unbecoming and undesirable. No, they are suffering. Oh, that's negative. No, that's enriching their emotional disposition. That's furthering, if that word exists, furthering their love. That's maximizing, upgrading their attachment and the subsequent joy of meeting. Even though we will see here that the gopis say something different, even in the sense of, oh, we suffer so much during all day in separation. So finally, when you come in the afternoon, afternoon, we may say, okay, now that separation has some purpose, now it will give joy of union. But when we are seeing you coming back, we cannot join you again because of many reasons. So we suffer even more. Of course, eventually they will join him at night, like will happen now, starting from this point of the Rasa Lila. So a type of joy will come, but before that, all that the things that are building up to that, you can imagine the unbearable experience of separation. So the gopis are saying this: we are suffering unbearable separation in your absence, and it is the same when we see you coming in the afternoon, or even worse again, because when you are returning home from the pastures, you are returning with the cows, with the cowherd boys, but we see only you for a moment. Again, it's not a moment for public, for private union between the gopis and Krishna. All Braj is there, as we spoke the other day. Godhuli, the whole Braj, the whole village is waiting for the cow dust time to see Krishna, to appear, to join him, to embrace him, to show the Nanda, friends, servants, calves, dust, everyone. So the gopis just cannot run in the public eye and embrace Krishna, then whatever. So the point is, and even if they would like just to see him for a good time, they do not have the chance at that moment. They imply here, we can only see your beautiful face for a moment. We would like to relish your beauty at that time, but we cannot. There is never, that's the feeling of the gopis between the lines here. No, there is never enough time to see you to our full satisfaction, because again, they have so much love and Krishna has so much beauty that it is never enough. That's what maintains the ongoing lila eternally in an ever increasing way, and they will never have reached an end. It will never come an end in eternity and in Golok, in Gokula. They say, okay, we are finally satiated. The gopis will say, now we finally are satisfied. Or Krishna will say, yeah, now I'm satisfied with your love. No, we will never hear that. That's not the spiritual word. That's what Srila Sri Maharaj mentioned that time when he was given a wonderful discourse. And some devotees at the end said, oh, Guru Maharaj, we are fully satisfied. And Srila Sri Maharaj, in a very natural, spontaneous way from his insight, say, fully satisfied? Is that possible? Is that possible? No. Like implying it's not possible. If you really enter in touch with real satisfaction, you realize it's an ever increasing affair, ongoing subject matter, eternal students forever, basically implies that. And the subject matter of our studies becoming ever fresh, ever young, Nava Jovana, Nava Kishore. The beauty, the servant disposition. So the gopis imply here this. At this moment of the unfolding of the Prakat Lila, there's never enough time to see you to our full satisfaction. And why? Because as soon as we catch some sight of you, immediately, very soon, you go to Mother Yashoda's house because she's waiting for you very anxiously. She's taking you there. And also, besides that, that's only one reason. Our eyelids, as they mention in this verse, obstruct our vision as we look at you. And not only that, sometimes torrents of tears fill our eyes. So our eyes are filled with tears, we cannot see you properly also. Or sometimes that's not the only thing. Sometimes the hooves of the cows are raising so much dust. Okay, we are in Godhuli, cow dust time, but sometimes there's so much dust, the gopis say, that we cannot see you properly because there is so much dust. And again, at that time, Nanda Baba, Yashoda Maya, and all the other elders are coming to greet you. What can we do? And that's not all. You can see the plight of the gopis. Furthermore, if Jatila, Kutila, our husbands, were to see us looking at you, you can imagine a whole mountain of torment will come over our heads. So the point is, we are not free to gaze upon you. Of course, as we spoke, the gopis also have different tricks to look at Krishna indirectly. Radha has some transparent pearl necklaces that she looks there at the pearl necklace, the reflection of Krishna's face is there. With her rings also, she has different finger rings. So when she looks at that, that's reflection. There's a reflection of Krishna, so she can look at him indirectly and so on. But again, it's never enough. So the gopis present their plight, increased like here. No, there are numerous problems, but the gopis at the end say we understand that they are all caused by our own misfortune. No, even though they are insulting Brahma, actually they are taking the whole baggage on their back. So they say the misfortune is making us suffering under all circumstances, both in separation and both in meeting you when you are returning from the forest. So our bad destiny alone, bad karma, what to do? It's in our chart. That's the cause of our grief. So what can we do about it? No, that's their destiny. So that's the idea the gopis are conveying in this particular verse. Interestingly, also here the Kutila Kuntala, no? The hairs, the locks of hairs of Krishna, to go to another direction, are described as curly or crooked, if you will, but curly. So the point is that, again, of course, his hair is curly, but also the implication of that is his hair is curly, and thus the crookedness of Krishna's mind is thus revealed. Because he's making him, the gopis imply here in loving anger, you make yourself seen only for a brief moment each time. That's to be really crooked. That the gopis imply that just by saying you have curly locks of hair, you see how many implications are there included there, but we need to unpack them in the context of romantic indirect language, parokshavat, suggested meaning. So the gopis are here speaking out of certain slight indignation due to love. Again, we would like to see you so much, but you are crooked. And again, the nature of love is crooked. It's moving like a snake. In his Sarartha Darshini, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he gives a very much more detailed even description of the subjective experience of separation of the gopis. So he's paraphrasing them. Through Vishwanath Chakrabarti, the gopis are saying to Krishna, when you go to the forest of Vrindavan at Truti, again, at 17th hundredth of a second, seems like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. So he gives some comparison between the gopis and the other Brajavasis, if you will. So he says there that the gopis say, the pain of separation for us makes the 8 hours you are away, almost 8 hours, in the forest to seem like 3 months for the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, which is already a lot. I mean, if you go, that happens always. If you're a mother and your son is going with his friends for 8 hours, you don't experience that as 8 hours, maybe 3 months, subjectively speaking. But for us gopis, they're saying here, this 8 hour period seems as long as 1 billion ages. Again, yoga means uncountable number, basically. So Vishwanath uses the term billion ages, not 8 hours, not 3 months, not some 1,100 years, not 1 million years, but billion ages. So plural, billion and plural one. So you cannot put a number to that. That's the point. And you cannot imagine that also. You have to go there to find that for yourself, as Prabhupada will say. So in this way, Vishwanath tries to make the experience of the gopis even more clear in comparison to 3 months. What's 3 months in comparison to 1 billion ages? So now we will express how this is happening in the context of a particular type of love. So according to Vishwanath, the gopis are again saying this is the only cause for this is our bad fortune. There is no other cause except for that. So again, gopis are not blaming anyone. They're dealing with their destiny. So they say, even when we get the opportunity to see your face at the end of the day, again, the false creator is making us suffer, giving us these eyelids to interrupt our vision. So even in seeing you, we are thrown in this ocean of unsurmountable suffering. So it is said that for an eye to blink, Vishwanath now gives the exact number for an eye to blink, because they gave the idea of the eyelids, which has to do with the blinking. Blink means nimesh. That's a word for blinking. That's why Mahaprabhu say, Yugaitam nimeshana. Nimeshana means one nimesh. Nimesh means a blinking. So he says it takes 900 trutis for the eyes to blink. But the gopis, according to Vishwanath, again, they said 1 truti is 1 billion ages. So try to connect all these things. So according to Vishwanath, which is the idea, the gopis are saying, although it takes 900 trutis for the eye to blink, it seems to us like 900 yugas. not Truti. Truti is a Juga for us. So in this way, we are so fortunate that we are suffering, whether we see you, whether we are not seeing you. Ecstatic suffering, again, that is building up in the particular emotional disposition. We can have some experience of that in our particular life, of course, not to the degree of the gopis, but for example, suppose, I don't know, if you are sick and you're really suffering, crying for intense pain, and you would like to sleep at night at least, to have a break from the distress, but you cannot sleep because of pain. So you have a clock there on the wall, and you will look at the wall at night, and you will, at the walk on the clock will be like in a slow motion, showing the passage of time. You will see 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, but it never ends. The night never ends, basically. You are looking at the clock and wondering, when will morning come? When will morning come? For that person, a minute, a second appears like a month or more. Not to the same degree of the gopis, but we have a glimpse of that in this world. Even when sometimes I say to the devotees, if you are not chanting japa properly, you won't be really having a good time, if you will. No, you will feel in one round like 1 billion ages or more, like a yuga, subjectively. When you are doing something that you do not like, that is disgusting, the time seems to never end. But when you are doing something that you enjoy and you're having a good time, the time will go quickly. So that's the experience of the gopi in separation and in union with Krishna. In separation, one nimesh, 1700ths of a second, it's like a yuga. In union, a yuga passes like an nimesh, like an instant. So there are again many verses about this. Bhagavatam is showing over and over again. Also, this is the best famous verse that Krishna is speaking to Uddhava about how the gopis are perceiving this. Tastak shapaprishta tamenanita mayaiva vrindavana gocharena kshanardabhatta punarangatarsam hinamaya kalpashama babuhu. So Krishna is saying to Uddhava, all those nights that the gopis spend with me, this is after having many rasa leelas at night. This is a little bit after this. So all those nights, no, this is what Krishna is sending Uddhava to console the Brajavasi. So he's giving some context to the situation there. So he's saying this verse, all those nights, remember after this, every single night almost were Rasa Leela there. So all those nights the gopis spent with me in Rasa Leela, with me, their most dearly beloved in the land of Braj, they seem to pass to them in less than a moment again. But bereft of my association, he says, however, the gopis felt those same nights drag on forever. This is after Krishna left Vrindavan, as if each night were equal to a day of Brahma. We know a day of Brahma is not precisely one of our days, 24 hours of our time. So again, this is the experience that the gopis are having, and why they are subjectively going through that. How? Because it seems like mad for us. It seems like extreme. But again, this is only for those who have crossed the various stages of prem. This corresponds to a very high degree of prem, not even to prem, or to some degree of development of prem. No one can feel like the gopis in this regard, in this particular extreme of separation. Who have the gopis attain prem, but of course sneha, man, pranay, rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav. So this advanced stage of separation will only come when one has passed through all these stages. So the gopis are feeling like this. Only them are feeling this extreme way, but also they are thinking everyone else is feeling more separation than us. That's their topmost humility in their divine madness. Even though they are exhibiting such symptoms, they are thinking everyone else in Braj, everyone, moving, unmoving creatures, they are experiencing much more separation than we do. And everyone is more elevated than us. Everyone has more bhakti than us. I don't know, they hear the cuckoos, and the cuckoos stop singing, they feel, oh, they stop singing because they are weeping for Krishna in the same mood as us, or even higher, and so on. So this is the symptom of Mahabhav, again, the highest degree of love, highest developmental stage of love. So that's why one of the qualities Rupa Goswami mentions in the Ujjval Nilamani of Mahabhav is this, to perceive in separation 1 millisecond as a yuga, and in union 1 yuga as a millisecond. That's it, the subjective quality of Mahabhav. So in this way, that's why the gopis here are in so-called insulting Brahma. According to Vallabhacharya, he says, he paraphrases the gopis. No, the gopis say through Vallabhacharya, when we cannot see him, then Brahma, the creator of our idols, is a fool. What to do? And when we see him, even more, because mainly when we see him, basically, the idea is because we experience the blinking. When we are not seeing him, well, Brahma is not to be blamed that much, but when we are seeing him, blinking comes. So the creator of them, he's a fool, Jada, because he didn't make, he made our eyelids to blink. But for example, he made the eyelids of the gods, of the devas, not to blink. Why he didn't make our eyes in that same way? So it is said that the devas, Guru Maharaj mentions that also in his aesthetic Vedanta, that in this connection it is said that the gods of heaven do not blink the eyes of them. But at the same time, they cannot see Krishna in their midst, as the gopis are doing. Because Krishna appears on earth as Krishna. He's not appearing in Swarga. And if the devas see Krishna, because of whatever reason somewhere, it is say they will see Krishna without blinking. What's the idea of without blinking here? They will see him in awe and reverence. So that creates a certain unblinking. They won't see him in terms of Brajabhav. So again, that's the difference, no? So Krishna is actually, Guru Maharaj said, he's earth, the god of earth. Humanity's god, earth's god. And human eyes blink. No? The eyes of the humans blink. So because of this fault, if you will, of the eyes of the humans, the gopis, Guru Maharaj said, no, because of the fault, quote unquote, of human eyes, the gopis saw Krishna not as God, as the devas will do, but as one of their own kind. It's an ordinary boy of the village, which is extraordinarily ordinary. But the point is that they saw with those eyes Krishna this way, but they at the same time, they noticed the fault of their eyes. So because they noticed that, they were aware of their blinking, as we already said before. Nobody does that. We can understand that they were neither human, but they were not merely godly. So they are not fully from this planet. They are not in divine fully, if you will, as devas, divine, but they are of the nature of Krishna himself, Guru Maharaj says. Good, human and godly. No less than that. Human-like, if you will, not a lila. So that's a very unique combination, unique blending of these two principles, humanity and divinity. Humanity and divinity. As Guru Maharaj also mentioned, Krishna, Rasa Lila means divinity celebrating his sensuality in the context of humanity. So many things to think about, and many things to realize and to apply to our own bhajan and sadhana. So finally, before finishing, give me some few minutes more. Pakshma Krit. No? So the gopis in the last line are saying, Jada Dikshatam Pakshma Krit Drisham. So the one who designed these eyelids must be a fool. So Pakshma Krit means the designer of the eyelids. So the one who made it. But the first meaning, again, refers to Brahma as the maker of the eyelid. But there is a second meaning that Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur shares in his purport. So another meaning of Pakshma Krit, apart from making the eyelids, is cutting off the eyelid. So you can imagine what's the implication of this possible statement of the gopis. So with this, the gopis imply Jada, no? In the verse, they say Jada to Brahma, which means fool. But also the Sanskrit allows for the opposite meaning of Jada, which is Ajada, which means intelligent. So in this connection, the gopis will say here, those who are Ajada or intelligent will cut off their eyelids so they could see Krishna continuously. But we, being unintelligent village girls, we do not know how to do that. We cannot do that. So that's why we are suffering. So in their ecstatic mode, they reach such a siddhanta, such a perfect conclusion, if you will. If you are really intelligent, you will get rid of these eyelids, so you can constantly look at Sri Hari without interruption, without the obstacles of blinking. But we are so foolish that we cannot do that. Of course, they are not doing that because the dynamics, Lila Yoga Maya, Lila Shakti is not allowing such a thing, because eyelids are required. Blinking is required for a particular feeding of a particular mood in Parakia, and so on and so forth. So the conclusion, basically, let's go to the conclusion of the verse and finish here. According to Sanatana Goswami, in his Brihad Vaishnava Toshani, he says that in the first half of the verse, the meaning is clear. Basically, the idea there is, as we speak, the suffering of not seeing you has been going on for a long time, and it's intolerable. So quickly, give us your darshan. Again, the implication is always the same: reappear. But in the second half, the gopis are also expressing this further extra idea, which is, even if you give us your darshan, when we see you, there is unhappiness even in seeing you. There is unhappiness in not seeing you. There is unhappiness in seeing you. What to do? And that's their dilemma, very unique. So in this way, the gopis are praying, are desiring, are increasing to an unimaginable degree their desire of being able to see Krishna without interruption, without suffering. That's their hankering. But again, love is not devoid of suffering, but a unique type of suffering that is connected to love. So if suffering is connected to love, you cannot call it suffering any longer, even though we may use the word. Call it loving suffering. So the word love is qualifying that suffering in a big way. So when you hear all the things about the gopis' torment, you add always the word divya or whatever, no? Divine torment, loving suffering. So that will put everything in context. In the context of love, of divinity, of transcendence, everything is ecstatic and joyful, even so-called suffering. And as Guru Maharaj will say, in the context of non-divinity, mundane mentality, even so-called happiness is suffering. So here the gopis are going very deep into this idea of having eyes to see Krishna and drinking his beauty constantly. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, also very nicely, Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Radha, he mentions one verse in the Madhya Lila in this regard. No? He says also, what is the use of the eyes of one who does not gaze at the moon-like face of Krishna, which is the origin of all beauty, it is the abode of all, everything nectarian. And finally he says at the end, or she says, Radha, in that mood, let a thunderbolt strike such a head. Why does he maintain such eyes? So in ecstatic mood, they are condemning whoever is not having eyes only for Krishna. So somehow or other, they are condemning their own eyes because of the blinking. But again, the whole thing for us as sadhakas is speaking to us about the development of proper vision, proper eye, proper chakshu. That's why we glorified Sri Guru. Chakshu militam yena tasmin Sri Gurave. He's giving some ointment, some anjana, to put on our eyes to develop new sight, sastra chakshu. He's giving us the eyes of scripture. She's teaching us to look at the world through the eyes of scripture, scriptural eyes. And eventually that will take us to different types of eyes, of vision, loving eyes, premanjana, churita, prema netra. So we need to develop proper eyes to enter into this Gopi Gita, into this Braja Lila. Sometimes people go to Vrindavan nowadays and they they complain because the monkeys are there stealing the glasses. Now, that's a classical thing. If you go to Vrindavan for the first time and you wear glasses, I mean, you will receive 108 advice about be careful with that. But why the monkeys are inspired to steal your glasses? Well, basically to teach you cannot see Vrindavan with glasses. You cannot magnify your vision, but any temporary mundane adjustment. I mean, you can remain with your glasses, no problem, but this won't show you. So the monkeys are inspired by that. Also, they're inspired by their owners, so they can steal you and receive some money. But that's a secondary relative consideration. The ultimate one is the monkeys are inspired to steal your glasses, and you can understand. I only will be able to see Vrindavan through Prem Netra, to the eyes of love. Narottam also sings similarly. When Visayat Chariya Kavi Suddha Viman Sadhamaheravu Sri Vrindavan. Whenever my heart is free from all selfish desire and then enter into the land of dedication, then I will be able to see Vrindavan. So we have to go deeper, as Mahaprabhu will say, go deeper, augment the truth, your truth. Because if not, we can just remain in the surface, even of bhakti. Bhakti is like an ocean. Bhakti rasamrita sindhu is like an ocean of nectarian mellows. So you can remain just floating on the surface of the ocean and just find some salty water, which is not very nurturing, very tasty. If you go a little deeper in the ocean, you will see some fishes there. Oh, new reality, something more entertaining. But only if you go to the real depth of the ocean, to the real bottom of it, you will find jewels, gems, all these things. So again, if we are not willing to go deep into the ocean of bhakti, we will only just taste some salty, superficial experience there. So here, of course, the gopis are inviting us to go deeper, to develop the proper rights. And of course, that will be experienced through the pain of separation, even beyond the affinity one may have, be that Madhurya Bhav, Sakya Bhav, whatever. Every sadhaka has to go to some type of separation to develop some type of proper vision to eventually reach the ultimate land of love. But again, everything will keep expanding, contracting, expanding, and reaching higher and newer degrees of rasa. But we will never be fully satisfied, and that will be the perfect reason for staying in a place that there will be always something new to attain. Some news will be there, some new developments, and new experience. So we need to fix all the things in our heads and hopefully in our hearts as well. So some words I wanted to share with you today regarding this 15th verse of Sri Gopi Gita. So I don't know if there are any questions.
I have a quick question, Maharaj.
Yes.
Because I'm mostly just checking, but you had mentioned that the gopis were saying that they don't see Krishna all day long. You had mentioned 7 hours as an example, but they see him in the forest, don't they? I mean, they see him during the day. Not that their separation would be less, but just the fact that they do meet with him in the forest, right?
Have you been in the whole class or you left some part, Mahara?
I wasn't in the beginning because I had to
I think that's
why go to the doctors.
I think that's why you're asking the question, because I made that clear that that will be a long explanation, but I will say it briefly. Later you hear the audio again, but briefly what I'm saying here is that the gopis are speaking this verse in the context of starting to have the first Rasa Lila with Krishna. So generally we know that the gopis meet with Krishna in the midday pastimes, Madhya and Lila, they meet at Radha Kund, and they even have Rasa Lila during the day there. But the point is here, Radha Kunda is not yet manifest. Here the earthly Prakat Lila has not unfolded to that point. Here the gopis are starting to have the first night Rasa Lila with Krishna. After this one, they will have Rasa Lila during the night, every single night. And eventually Radha Kunda will be manifest with the killing of Aristasur, and they will be able to meet him during the day. But before that, there's no meeting during the day when Krishna is going to the forest here. At this point, Krishna is going to the forest daily with his friends and cows, but the gopis are not being able to join him. Now, this is the first time they're able to join him, basically, in this first Rasa Lila, that's still not fully started, because it started and Krishna disappeared. So that's the point. But I explained that in further detail in the beginning of today.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's clear,
right? To that.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other question?
I have a question, Maharaj. Yes. You were saying how the gopis were seeing all the other living entities as feeling more separation from Krishna than they were.
Mhm.
And that kind of confused me because I was just reading last night in the Gopal Champu that they were seeing all the other living entities as being way more fortunate than they are,
Mhm.
because they get to look directly at Krishna or be with him in one way or another.
Mhm.
So
Well, to feel more separate, much more separation is to be more fortunate. I wouldn't disconnect one thing from the other, no? I mean, if the gopis are saying they are having so much chance, but of course, again, we have to understand this has to do with and when with the subjective experience of the moment that the gopis are projecting their own bhav into others. But the point is that when they feel other living entities experience more separation from Krishna, it doesn't mean that, I mean, let's follow the point. You first mentioned that they are saying in the Gopal Champu, it is said that certain living entities have the fortune of whatever, meeting Krishna when the gopis cannot meet Krishna, or they have the fortune of seeing Krishna when the gopis cannot look at Krishna. Different types of fortune that other living entities have. Yes, that's a fact. The gopis appreciate that. If we study Venu Gita, that's a fact. The gopis are speaking about the birds, the deer, the free bird, the earth. Everyone is more fortunate than them, basically. That's their conclusion. But at the same time, here we are mentioning the gopis project, oh, other living entities are experiencing more separation than us. Now the point is the following: in their psychology and in their humility, which we cannot just, we can only start to conceive that, one thing doesn't contradict the other, because you may be able to see Krishna more, but you may be able to feel more separation in a qualitative sense, even though in quantity you are seeing him more. Do you follow my point? I mean, I can, you and me can be seeing one person and I'm seeing that person more often than you, but it may be possible that I may feel more separation of that person when I'm not seeing that person than you. That can happen. It's not a matter of time and numbers. So the gopis, in their humility, again, they are projecting, oh, these living entities have more chance to be with Krishna, but at the same time, when they do not have the chance to be with Krishna, they experience more separation than us. So that takes always to the conclusion they are higher than us. Higher than us because they can see Krishna more than us, and higher than us because when they cannot see Krishna, they feel more separation than us. So that furthers in them, you can imagine, an ending degrees of humility. And as Sanatana Goswami mentions in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, humility is nourishing Prem, and Prem is nourishing humility, and the two of them behave in a relationship of cause and effect, mutual cause and effect. So that's what I could say in this particular connection.
Yeah, that helped. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Something else? Okay, so there are no more questions. So thank you very much, all of you, for your timing. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sri Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Gopi Gita ki jai, Sri Gaur Radha Madhava ki jai, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद हरि बोल। पंचकल्प तरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नान्त कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, गौर हरि बोल।
Pavana Swami ki jai.